Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the story of Bikini Bottom's smartest and toughest resident, Sandy Cheeks. From her life in Texas to her adventures under the sea inside her tree dome, we'll be exploring Sandy's entire story and how she became such an important part of SpongeBob's world. If you love SpongeBob content, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment telling me your favorite Sandy moment. Now, let's begin Sandy's story. In the colourful waters of Bikini Bottom, few characters stand out quite like Sandy Cheeks. Among the fish, sponges, crabs, and starfish, she is something entirely different, a land-dwelling squirrel who chose to make her home at the bottom of the sea. While SpongeBob's optimism, Patrick's silliness, and Squidward's grumpiness shape much of the town's character, Sandy brings something new, a mix of scientific brilliance, courage, and warm-hearted friendship that makes her one of the most extraordinary residents in Bikini Bottom. Sandy's story begins far above the sea, in the wide open fields of Texas. Born and raised in the Lone Star State, she grew up with a deep love for the land, its sunsets, its cowboy traditions, and its adventurous spirit. From her very first appearance in the episode Tea at the Tree Dome, we see that Texas is not just a place for Sandy, it is part of her very soul. She wears her cowboy suit with pride, complete with boots and a large belt buckle, a symbol of her heritage that she carries with her even in the depths of the ocean. But what brought this squirrel from the open plains of Texas to the watery world of Bikini Bottom? Sandy is, at her core, an adventurer and a scientist. Driven by curiosity, she joined a program that allowed her to live underwater, studying marine life while pushing the boundaries of what is possible for a land creature. Unlike most of the residents of Bikini Bottom, Sandy is not there by accident or circumstance, aka. She chose to be there. And in that choice lies one of her greatest strengths, a fearless willingness to step out of her comfort zone and embrace the unknown. Of course, being a land mammal, Sandy couldn't survive underwater in the same way her neighbours could. That's where her brilliant mind comes in. To adapt, Sandy built one of the most unique homes in all of Bikini Bottom, her glass tree dome. A marvel of underwater engineering, the tree dome is filled with fresh air, lush grass, and of course, a large oak tree that reminds Sandy of her home back in Texas. When SpongeBob and Patrick first visit, they marvel at its strangeness, struggling to breathe in the air until Sandy gently explains that her world works differently. It is in this moment that we see her two identities merge, a squirrel of the land and a pioneer of the sea. The tree dome is more than just a house. It is a symbol of Sandy's resilience and creativity. Inside its walls, she can practice her science, invent machines, and continue her research, all while enjoying the comforts of home. It is also a place of friendship, often visited by SpongeBob and Patrick, who are endlessly curious about Sandy's way of life. Their first tea party at the Tree Dome is a classic example. SpongeBob, not understanding that he needs water to survive, nearly dries up trying to fit in with Sandy's world. The scene is funny, but it also highlights something important. Sandy doesn't let differences define her friendships. Instead, she finds ways to connect, whether underwater or in her dome. From the very beginning, Sandy stands out as both brave and kind. In Tea at the Tree Dome, when SpongeBob first meets her, she is wrestling with a clam, showing not only her strength, but also her adventurous spirit. Yet after the fight, she sits down for tea, revealing her gentler, hospitable side. This balance, between toughness and warmth, is at the heart of who Sandy is. Her decision to live underwater also highlights one of Sandy's most admirable qualities, her adaptability. Few could imagine trading the dry, sunny lands of Texas for the depths of the sea, but Sandy does it with pride and determination. She embraces the challenges, invents solutions for survival, and builds a life filled with both work and play. For her, the sea is not a limitation, but an opportunity, a chance to explore, to discover, and to grow. But Sandy is not only defined by her differences. From the moment she arrives, she becomes an integral part of the Bikini Bottom community. She forms fast friendships with SpongeBob and Patrick, who are fascinated by her tree dome, her science, and her karate skills. Though she is unlike anyone else in town, she never feels like an outsider. Her confidence and kindness allow her to fit in, proving that true belonging doesn't come from where you were born, but from the love and connections you create. Sandy's introduction in the series also reflects a larger theme, the beauty of diversity. She is a reminder that being different can be a strength, not a weakness. Her intelligence, her courage, and her resourcefulness enrich the lives of everyone around her. SpongeBob gains a loyal friend and mentor. Patrick finds someone who challenges his silliness, and even Squidward, though often annoyed, is impressed by her inventions. Sandy brings something new to Bikini Bottom, and in turn, Bikini Bottom gives her a community where she can shine. And so, Sandy's story begins with a leap of faith, a squirrel who left the familiar for the unknown, who built a home where no one expected her to thrive, and who showed that true strength lies not only in muscles or machines, but in the heart to embrace adventure. In her tree dome, surrounded by reminders of Texas, yet fully immersed in life underwater, Sandy Cheeks proves that no matter where you come from, you can find a place to belong. Though Sandy Cheeks built a life under the sea, her heart has always belonged to the wide open lands of Texas. From her very first episodes, it is clear that Sandy carries Texas with her wherever she goes, in her cowboy suit, in her accent, in her way of living, and most of all, in the pride she takes in her home state. To understand Sandy is to understand her love for Texas, a love so strong that even in the depths of Bikini Bottom, it shines as brightly as the stars above her hometown skies. Sandy is not shy about where she comes from, whether she's talking about rodeos, lasso tricks, or southern cooking. She makes sure everyone knows she's a Texas girl at heart. In fact, her very first episode, Tea at the Tree Dome, shows this pride in full display. Her tree dome is not just a scientific habitat, but a little slice of Texas transplanted underwater. Inside, we find green grass, a big oak tree, and even the dry air of her homeland. Sandy wanted more than just survival under the sea. She wanted comfort, familiarity, and a place that reminded her of home. But pride is not the only emotion Sandy feels for Texas. In the episode Texas, one of the most heartfelt moments in the series, we see Sandy struggling with deep homesickness. Despite her adventurous spirit and her success in building a life under the sea, she misses her roots. She longs for the sunsets, the open fields, and the familiar sights and sounds of her homeland. Her sadness is so strong that she decides she might have to return to Texas for good. For SpongeBob and Patrick, who adore Sandy, this is devastating news. They can't imagine Bikini Bottom without her, her friendship, her karate lessons, her laughter. In their panic, they try to remind Sandy of everything wonderful about Bikini Bottom, but it's not enough. Sandy's homesickness is real and painful, showing us that even the strongest, most adventurous hearts can still ache for the place they came from. The climax of Texas comes when SpongeBob and Patrick throw her a surprise party to show how much she means to them. Though their methods are chaotic, their hearts are in the right place. SpongeBob's heartfelt plea, telling Sandy that Bikini Bottom isn't the same without her, finally reaches her. Sandy realizes that while Texas will always be her home, she has built another home under the sea, one filled with friends who love her. This episode captures Sandy's dual identity perfectly. She is a Texan through and through, proud of her heritage and unwilling to let it fade. But she is also a true Bikini Bottomite, loved and accepted for who she is. Her story reminds us that home is not just one place. It can be the land where we are born, and also the communities we build when we follow new paths. Sandy learns that she doesn't have to choose between Texas and Bikini Bottom. She can hold both in her heart, carrying Texas pride while embracing her undersea family. Her Texas roots also shape her personality in countless ways. Sandy is tough, competitive, and unafraid to speak her mind, qualities that reflect the rugged independence of her home state. When challenged, she never backs down. Whether it's wrestling clams, competing in rodeo-style games, or showing off her strength, Sandy brings the determination and grit of Texas to every challenge. She is also deeply loyal, another trait she connects to her upbringing. Just as Texans are known for their pride in family and community, Sandy brings that same devotion to her friends in Bikini Bottom. Her love for Texas also influences her hobbies and skills. Sandy is a master of lassoing, a talent straight from her cowboy heritage. In many episodes, she uses her rope tricks not only for fun, but also to save the day. Her karate skills, too, reflect a mix of discipline and adventurous spirit that fits perfectly with her Texan toughness. And of course, she often talks about Texas-style food, like barbecue and country cooking, bringing a taste of home into her life under the sea. But perhaps the most touching part of Sandy's Texas pride is how it inspires those around her. SpongeBob and Patrick may not understand all her references, but they admire her confidence and love for where she came from. Even Squidward, though often annoyed by her energy, respects her individuality. Sandy shows that being proud of your roots is not about excluding others, it's about sharing who you are. By celebrating Texas, Sandy brings a piece of its spirit to everyone in Bikini Bottom. In many ways, Sandy's homesickness in Texas makes her even more relatable. Everyone, at some point, has felt the ache of missing home, whether it's a place, a family, or a time in life that cannot be returned to. Sandy's tears remind us that even the strongest heroes can feel vulnerable. But her decision to stay in Bikini Bottom, strengthened by the love of her friends, teaches us an important lesson. Sometimes, home is not just where you started, but where you are loved and needed. As Sandy's story unfolds through the series, her Texan pride never fades. She continues to wear her cowboy gear, to talk about her homeland, and to embody the adventurous, independent spirit of the Lone Star State. But she also learns that pride in her roots does not mean she cannot grow. By blending her Texan heritage with her new life underwater, she creates something unique, a life that is both adventurous and comforting, filled with science, karate, and friendship. And so, Sandy's Texas roots remain the foundation of who she is. They give her strength, courage, and identity. But in Bikini Bottom, she finds something just as important, a new family, a new sense of belonging, and a reminder that no matter where we go, the love we carry for our roots and for our friends is what truly makes us feel at home. Sandy Cheeks may be a squirrel from Texas, but in Bikini Bottom, she is known just as much for her brilliant mind as for her southern charm. Among the many residents of the sea, Sandy stands apart not only because she is a land mammal, but because she is one of the greatest inventors and scientists ever to call Bikini Bottom home. Her tree dome, a glass structure filled with fresh air, grass, and a towering oak tree, is not just a comfortable place to live, it is the heart of her scientific genius. From the outside, the tree dome looks like a large glass bubble sitting on the ocean floor. But step inside, and you'll find a self-sustaining ecosystem, oxygen, plants, and a space designed for Sandy to live as if she were still on land. It is one of the most impressive feats of engineering in the SpongeBob SquarePants universe. A home that keeps Sandy safe and comfortable while allowing her to thrive underwater. It also serves as her laboratory, workshop, and training ground. Within those glass walls, Sandy has created inventions and experiments that rival even the most advanced technology above the sea. One of the earliest glimpses we get of Sandy's scientific talent is in Pressure, where she brags about the advantages of land creatures over sea creatures. To prove her point, she demonstrates her incredible strength and agility, abilities she has honed through a combination of natural talent and training. While the episode is light-hearted, it hints at the deeper truth. Sandy's life in Bikini Bottom is not just about surviving, it's about pushing the limits of what's possible. Inside the tree dome, Sandy has built countless inventions, many of which have played central roles in the series. In Sandy's rocket, we see her attempt to build a spacecraft capable of reaching the moon. While SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally hijack the rocket and cause chaos, the mere fact that Sandy is building interstellar technology under the sea speaks to her brilliance. It is not just a hobby. Sandy is a true pioneer, always curious, always striving for the next great achievement. Her inventions also serve practical purposes. She has created machines for underwater exploration, robots, vehicles, and even devices that help her friends. In Chimps Ahoy, for example, we learn that Sandy is part of a scientific research program funded by 3 surface-dwelling chimps, Professor Percy, Dr. Marmalade, and Lord Reginald. They demand results from Sandy, pressuring her to create inventions that prove her worth as a scientist. This episode highlights the challenges she faces. Not only is she an inventor, but she also carries the weight of expectation from the scientific community above the sea. Despite setbacks, Sandy's determination never falters. Another example of her genius is found in Karate Island, where Sandy's skills and intelligence are celebrated alongside her strength. While SpongeBob is lured to the island by promises of being a karate master, Sandy remains practical, reminding us that wisdom and training matter more than empty titles. Her ability to combine her scientific knowledge with her physical skills makes her one of the most well-rounded characters in Bikini Bottom. The tree dome itself is a marvel that symbolizes Sandy's adaptability. For a land mammal to survive underwater, she needed more than bravery, she needed ingenuity. By creating a space filled with air, she not only made survival possible, but also made her tree dome a slice of Texas transplanted beneath the waves. Her oak tree provides shade and comfort, her grassy lawn reminds her of home, and the fresh air allows her to remove her diving suit and breathe freely. The tree dome is not just a house, it is Sandy's connection to the life she left behind, seamlessly blended with her new life in the sea. Of course, her experiments don't always go smoothly. In Someone's in the Kitchen with Sandy, Plankton steals her fur, causing chaos and embarrassment. In Overbooked, SpongeBob struggles to keep up with her high-energy tree dome events. And in Perfect Chemistry, her attempt to work with Plankton shows that even the brightest minds can face setbacks when trust is misplaced. Yet, every failure only pushes Sandy to grow stronger, smarter, and more inventive. Her science is not limited to machines and experiments, it also includes her survival skills. Sandy is resourceful in every sense, able to adapt to new challenges quickly. She trains constantly, stays physically strong, and balances her brain power with her brawn. Episodes like Survival of the Idiots, where SpongeBob and Patrick sneak into her tree dome during hibernation season, show that Sandy's way of life is disciplined and precise. Her hibernation, complete with storing energy for the long season, reflects her animal instincts as much as her human-like intelligence. The tree dome also acts as a bridge between worlds. For SpongeBob and Patrick, visiting Sandy's home is like stepping onto another planet. They gasp for air, struggle to adapt, and marvel at the strangeness of life without water. But Sandy welcomes them, patient and kind, teaching them about her world while embracing theirs. This mutual exchange is one of the most beautiful aspects of Sandy's character. She doesn't hide her differences, she celebrates them, and she invites others to learn and grow alongside her. Through her science, Sandy becomes more than just a quirky side character. She represents curiosity, determination, and the courage to embrace the unknown. She shows us that intelligence and creativity can thrive anywhere, even under the sea. And while her inventions sometimes cause trouble, they also bring laughter, wonder, and a reminder that failure is just another step on the path to discovery. Ultimately, Sandy's tree dome and her scientific genius symbolize her identity. She is not simply a squirrel in the sea, she is a pioneer, a dreamer, and a doer. She proves that with enough determination and creativity, you can build a life for yourself anywhere, no matter how impossible it may seem. The tree dome is Sandy's heart, a little piece of Texas and a laboratory of endless ideas, standing proudly on the ocean floor as a reminder that even the strangest dreams can become reality. While Sandy Cheeks is known for her intelligence, strength, and Texan pride, perhaps her greatest gift in Bikini Bottom is her friendship. From the moment SpongeBob first met her wrestling a clam in tea at the tree dome, Sandy and SpongeBob formed a connection that grew into one of the warmest bonds in the series. And through SpongeBob, Sandy also became close to Patrick, creating a trio of friends who balance each other in ways both hilarious and heartwarming. Sandy and SpongeBob share a special spark from the very beginning. When SpongeBob first sees Sandy wrestling a clam, he is instantly impressed by her bravery and energy. Sandy, equally intrigued by SpongeBob's enthusiasm, invites him for tea, though their first visit nearly ends in disaster when SpongeBob dries up in her tree dome. The episode shows the foundation of their friendship: kindness, patience, and a willingness to learn about each other's worlds. Despite their differences, one being a sponge of the sea and the other a squirrel from the land, they embrace those differences with joy. Their friendship is built on mutual encouragement. Sandy admires SpongeBob's optimism and determination, while SpongeBob admires Sandy's strength and intelligence. In many episodes, Sandy plays the role of a mentor, guiding SpongeBob in karate, extreme sports, or scientific experiments. Yet, she is never condescending. Instead, she celebrates SpongeBob's energy and encourages him to grow. SpongeBob, in turn, brings laughter and light-heartedness into Sandy's life, reminding her not to take everything too seriously. One of the best examples of their bond appears in Karate Choppers. In this episode, Sandy and SpongeBob's shared love of karate brings them closer together. They spar constantly, turning every encounter into a playful challenge. Their karate matches are more than just fights. They are expressions of their friendship, filled with laughter, energy, and respect. Even when their obsession gets them into trouble, it is clear that karate is something that strengthens their bond. Sandy's friendship with Patrick, meanwhile, is different but equally important. While SpongeBob and Sandy connect over karate and adventure, Patrick often serves as the comic relief in their trio. At times, Sandy can become frustrated with Patrick's silliness or lack of focus, but deep down, she cares for him just as much as she cares for SpongeBob. Episodes like Survival of the Idiots, where SpongeBob and Patrick sneak into Sandy's tree dome while she's hibernating, show that even when Patrick causes chaos, Sandy's patience and affection remain. She may scold him, but she never turns him away. Together, the trio of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy creates some of the most wholesome adventures in Bikini Bottom. In pre-hibernation week, Sandy invites SpongeBob to spend time with her before her long winter hibernation. The two share an endless string of extreme activities: biking, running, and daring stunts, all fueled by Sandy's love of adventure and SpongeBob's eagerness to join in. While Patrick sits that one out, his presence in other episodes often grounds their dynamic, reminding Sandy that not every moment has to be a thrill. Sandy also plays the role of a bridge between SpongeBob and Patrick. When the two get carried away with their silliness, Sandy brings logic and balance. When SpongeBob and Patrick become stuck in childlike rivalry, Sandy steps in with maturity and wisdom. Yet she never rejects their innocence. She joins in when she can, laughing alongside them even when their antics get absurd. In episodes like Texas, her friendship with SpongeBob and Patrick proves to be life-changing. When Sandy feels so homesick that she plans to return to Texas, it is SpongeBob and Patrick who step in to remind her of the love she has found in Bikini Bottom. Their heartfelt efforts, though clumsy, prove that Sandy is not just their friend, she is family. It is this moment that cements the truth. Sandy may miss Texas, but her true home is also with the friends who love her unconditionally. Another beautiful example of their trio comes in Sandy, SpongeBob, and the worm. When a giant Alaskan bullworm threatens Bikini Bottom, Sandy bravely decides to face it. SpongeBob, terrified for her safety, tries to stop her. Patrick, meanwhile, joins in with his own unique logic, adding humour to the tension. In the end, their combined dynamic, Sandy's bravery, SpongeBob's concern, and Patrick's comedic outlook, shows just how much they balance one another. Sandy's courage inspires, SpongeBob's heart protects, and Patrick's laughter softens every challenge. What makes Sandy's friendship so wholesome is the way she values SpongeBob and Patrick for who they are. She doesn't try to change them or look down on them, even when they act silly or childish. Instead, she joins in their adventures, offering her own strengths while celebrating theirs. Sandy could easily isolate herself in her tree dome, focusing only on her science, but she chooses to share her life with her friends. This choice reveals her true heart. She may be brilliant and strong, but she is also loving, generous, and eager to connect. For SpongeBob and Patrick, Sandy is more than just a friend. She is someone who teaches them, protects them, and pushes them to grow. She shows SpongeBob how to be brave, and she shows Patrick how to focus, at least a little. In return, they remind her of the joy of simplicity, of laughter, and of living in the moment. Together, they form one of the most wholesome trios in all of Bikini Bottom. In the end, Sandy's role as a friend is as important as her role as a scientist or adventurer. She may have come to the sea to study, but she stayed because of the bonds she formed. Through SpongeBob and Patrick, Sandy discovered a family, one that may be unusual, chaotic, and silly, but one that fills her life with love. And so, Sandy's story as a friend is about more than karate matches or jellyfishing trips. It is about the way she embraces her differences, shares her strengths, and opens her heart to those around her. With SpongeBob and Patrick by her side, Sandy shows us that friendship is not about being the same, it's about loving each other exactly as we are. If there is one thing besides science and Texas that defines Sandy Cheeks, it is her love for karate. Beneath her sweet southern charm and brilliant scientific mind lies the heart of a fierce martial artist. Sandy's karate skills are not just about fighting or showing off. They are about discipline, self-improvement, and, most importantly, friendship. For Sandy, karate is both a way to train her body and mind, and a way to connect with SpongeBob in a playful, wholesome rivalry. Karate First becomes a central part of Sandy's story in the episode Karate Choppers. Here, we see how much she enjoys sparring with SpongeBob, turning every encounter into an energetic duel. Whether it's ambushing each other with surprise karate chops, or turning a quiet day into a tournament of flips and kicks, Sandy and SpongeBob share a bond that is strengthened by their love for karate. The two of them are evenly matched, SpongeBob with his agility and enthusiasm, Sandy with her strength and discipline. While their matches can get out of hand, they always end with laughter and respect, showing that karate for them is less about competition and more about fun. What makes Sandy's karate unique is the way she blends her Texan toughness with martial arts discipline. Unlike SpongeBob, who treats karate as a game, Sandy understands the seriousness behind it. She trains hard, stays in top physical shape, and treats karate as both a sport and a philosophy. Yet, she never loses her joy in the practice. To her, karate is a way to challenge herself, to grow stronger, and to stay sharp, but it is also a way to play, to laugh, and to bond with her friends. In Karate Choppers, we also see the downside of this obsession when SpongeBob and Sandy's constant matches disrupt SpongeBob's job at the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs eventually bans karate in the restaurant, forcing SpongeBob to choose between his love of the sport and his duty to his job. Yet even this conflict shows the heart of Sandy's karate journey. It's not just about fighting, but about finding balance. Sandy encourages SpongeBob to take karate seriously, but she also learns that their playfulness can sometimes get the better of them. In the end, they accept that karate is part of who they are, but it must be enjoyed with care. Another important karate moment comes in pre-hibernation week. In this episode, Sandy invites SpongeBob to join her in a whirlwind of activities before her long hibernation, and karate is at the heart of it all. The two spend days tackling extreme challenges, from biking to dangerous stunts, all fueled by Sandy's boundless energy. SpongeBob struggles to keep up, but his determination to stay by Sandy's side shows just how much their shared love of karate, and adventure means to their friendship. Here, karate is more than just a sport. It is a symbol of Sandy's zest for life and her desire to share that energy with her closest friends. Karate also reflects Sandy's identity as someone who is always striving for excellence. She is not content to simply be smart or strong. She wants to be well-rounded. Her practice of karate keeps her disciplined, focused, and prepared for any challenge. Whether she's wrestling clams, facing giant worms, or inventing new machines, Sandy's karate skills give her confidence and resilience. They remind us that strength comes not only from the mind, but also from the body, and that true mastery means balancing both. Her karate lessons with SpongeBob often become teaching moments. While SpongeBob treats karate like a game, Sandy shows him the importance of practice, patience, and respect. Yet she never crushes his spirit or enthusiasm. Instead, she nurtures it, turning their duels into lessons filled with laughter. This balance between seriousness and silliness is what makes their karate bond so wholesome. It's not about winning or losing. It's about enjoying the journey together. In episodes like Karate Island, Sandy's martial arts skills are recognized even beyond Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob is lured to Karate Island under the false promise of being crowned king of karate, but it is Sandy who truly proves her worth. She demonstrates her mastery with ease, revealing that her karate skills are not just playful games with SpongeBob, but real abilities that command respect. While the episode is humorous, it highlights an important truth. Sandy is not only the smartest in Bikini Bottom, she is also one of the toughest. Sandy's karate also reveals her protective side. In moments of danger, she doesn't hesitate to use her skills to defend her friends. Whether it's standing up to bullies, facing down wild creatures, or joining SpongeBob on a daring quest, Sandy's martial arts training makes her a reliable ally. Her courage is not reckless, it is rooted in preparation and skill, showing us that true strength comes from discipline, not aggression. At its heart, Sandy's love for karate is about connection. It connects her to SpongeBob, giving them a shared passion that strengthens their friendship. It connects her to her Texan spirit, embodying her toughness and independence. And it connects her to herself, reminding her that even in a strange underwater world, she can stay strong, disciplined, and true to who she is. The beauty of Sandy's karate is that it is never mean-spirited. Even when she's sparring with SpongeBob, she always pulls her punches with care, ensuring that their battles are playful rather than harmful. This reflects her heart. Sandy is competitive and strong, but she never uses her abilities to dominate or hurt others. Instead, she uses them to inspire, to teach, and to bond. And so, Sandy's karate is more than just kicks and chops. It is a way of life, a balance between fun and discipline, strength and gentleness, seriousness and laughter. It shows us that true mastery is not about being the best, but about enjoying the journey, growing with your friends, and facing challenges with courage and joy. If Sandy Cheeks is known for one thing in Bikini Bottom beyond her treetops and science, it is her incredible strength and courage. From the moment she wrestled a giant clam in her very first appearance, Sandy has been portrayed as one of the toughest and bravest characters in the entire SpongeBob SquarePants universe. But Sandy's strength is not only about muscles and karate chops, it is also about her heart, her determination, and her refusal to back down when her friends or her home are in danger. From the earliest episodes, Sandy has shown that she is always up for a challenge. In Muscle Bob Buff Pants, when SpongeBob tries to impress her by pretending to be stronger than he really is, Sandy's natural strength is on full display. While SpongeBob relies on inflatable muscles, Sandy demonstrates genuine skill and power, effortlessly lifting weights and showing off her athletic abilities. But what makes Sandy remarkable here is not just her strength, but her good-natured attitude. She encourages SpongeBob, never mocking him for his lack of muscles, but instead teaching him that true strength comes from within. Her courage shines brightest in Sandy, SpongeBob, and the worm. When the massive Alaskan bullworm begins terrorizing Bikini Bottom, most residents are terrified, but not Sandy. Without hesitation, she decides to take the worm on herself. Dressed in her gear and filled with determination, she marches toward danger, fearless and confident. While SpongeBob desperately tries to stop her, worried for her safety, Sandy proves her bravery by confronting the beast head-on. Though the situation spirals into chaos, the episode cements Sandy as the bravest resident of Bikini Bottom, the one who will always step forward when others step back. In pre-hibernation week, Sandy once again showcases her endurance and toughness. Knowing she will soon enter her long hibernation, she invites SpongeBob to spend every moment with her beforehand. But Sandy's version of fun is extreme, running across mountains, biking through dangerous terrain, and pushing her physical limits to the extreme. SpongeBob, exhausted and overwhelmed, struggles to keep up, but Sandy's energy never falters. She thrives on challenge, living life at full speed, and showing that courage is not only about facing monsters, but about embracing adventure without fear. Sandy's toughness is also displayed through her incredible athleticism. She is a skilled surfer, weightlifter, and competitor in just about any sport she tries. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Sandy plays a crucial role in SpongeBob and Patrick's quest, showcasing her resilience and willingness to go above and beyond for her friends. Whether it's under the sea or on land, Sandy adapts and thrives, proving that her courage has no boundaries. Yet Sandy's strength is not just physical, it is also emotional. In Texas, we see Sandy at her most vulnerable, overwhelmed by homesickness and longing for the land she left behind. While her tears reveal her softer side, her decision to stay in Bikini Bottom despite her struggles shows another kind of courage. The bravery to embrace a new home while holding on to her roots. Emotional strength is often harder than physical feats, and Sandy proves that she has both in equal measure. Her courage is also evident in how she approaches her friendships. Sandy is never afraid to stand up for SpongeBob, Patrick, or any of her friends when they need her. In Ripped Pants, for example, Sandy shows kindness to SpongeBob when he feels embarrassed, encouraging him to be himself rather than chasing attention. In Survival of the Idiots, even when SpongeBob and Patrick cause chaos in her tree dome, Sandy forgives them, showing that true strength lies in patience and love as much as in karate chops. What makes Sandy's courage so admirable is her balance of fearlessness with responsibility. She doesn't rush into danger recklessly. She prepares, she trains, and she relies on her intelligence as much as her physical power. Her tree dome is filled with exercise equipment, weights, and tools that keep her sharp. Her daily routines show that courage is not about being fearless all the time. It's about being ready when fear comes. Episodes like Pressure also highlight her bold spirit. In this story, Sandy argues that land creatures are superior to sea creatures, leading to a hilarious competition with SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and even Mr. Krabs. While the episode plays her pride for laughs, it also demonstrates Sandy's fearless nature. She never shies away from a challenge, even when outnumbered. She stands her ground, proud of her heritage and confident in her abilities. In many ways, Sandy's courage is what allows her to thrive in Bikini Bottom at all. After all, she is the only land mammal living deep under the sea, far away from everything familiar. To take that leap required more bravery than most characters could imagine. And Sandy doesn't just survive, she flourishes, building a home, making friends, and becoming an essential part of the community. Sandy's strength and courage are not just about what she can lift or how hard she can kick. They are about her unshakable spirit, SAN, the determination to stand tall in the face of fear, the willingness to embrace challenges head-on, and the heart to protect and care for those she loves. She reminds us that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward despite it. And so, Sandy Cheeks stands as one of Bikini Bottom's greatest heroes. Not because she seeks glory or recognition, but because she lives each day with courage, kindness, and the unshakable belief that no challenge is too big when faced with strength of body and heart. Whether she is lifting weights, wrestling a clam, facing down a giant worm, or simply standing by her friends, Sandy proves time and time again that true strength shines brightest when it is used with love. When you think of Sandy Cheeks, it's easy to picture her in her karate gear, ready to spar with SpongeBob at a moment's notice, or to remember her proudly singing about her home back in Texas. But beneath all that toughness and charm, Sandy carries another truth, one that makes her unlike anyone else in Bikini Bottom. She is, without a doubt, a scientific genius. Her mind works in ways no one else in the ocean can even begin to understand, and through her inventions, her experiments, and her boundless curiosity, she has changed the very fabric of life beneath the sea. Her brilliance was clear the moment she settled in Bikini Bottom. No ordinary creature could have built the tree dome, a giant glass sphere filled with air, grass, and oak trees. To Sandy, it was simply the kind of home she needed, a place that allowed her to live comfortably beneath the water while still holding on to the land world she loved. But to everyone else in Bikini Bottom, it was a marvel, something they couldn't quite explain. How did a squirrel from Texas manage to build such a miraculous habitat under the sea? To Sandy, the answer was simple: science, hard work, and determination. That was just who she was. But the tree dome was only the beginning of Sandy's legacy. Her restless spirit meant she was always working on something new, always tinkering, always chasing ideas no one else would dare to attempt. While most of her neighbours were content with jellyfishing or flipping Krabby Patties, Sandy was designing flying machines, acorn-powered engines, and even a rocket ship capable of leaving the ocean and travelling into space. For the sea creatures of Bikini Bottom, the sky was something they would never touch. For Sandy, it was only another frontier waiting to be explored. Her rocket, seen in the famous adventure Sandy's Rocket, was proof of her genius. It wasn't a dream or a toy, but a functioning vessel, fully capable of piercing the surface and soaring into the stars. Of course, SpongeBob and Patrick, with their endless curiosity, couldn't resist sneaking aboard and turning the trip into chaos. But the fact that Sandy made it at all is what stands out. She alone possessed the skill and the daring to build something so advanced beneath the sea, blending her knowledge of human science with her own clever innovations. In doing so, she proved that even the impossible could be achieved with imagination and determination. And Sandy never stopped there. Whether it was inventing machines powered by acorns or building elaborate gadgets to solve problems in her everyday life, she always found ways to combine her Texan roots with her underwater reality. Where others saw limits, Sandy saw possibilities. An acorn wasn't just food, it was fuel. A challenge wasn't an obstacle, it was an opportunity. Her creativity was a reflection of her spirit, always pushing forward, never content to sit still. Of course, genius often comes with risks, and Sandy's inventions were no exception. Her curiosity sometimes led her into dangerous territory, and with SpongeBob and Patrick often close by, those dangers usually grew larger than she anticipated. In her drive to test her limits, she dragged SpongeBob through exhausting stunts during pre-hibernation week, nearly wearing him down to nothing. Her experiments with time travel once unleashed chaos across Bikini Bottom, a reminder that even the smartest mind can't always control the consequences of discovery. And more than once, her gadgets and machines have spun out of control, leaving her to race against the clock to fix the very problems she created. But that is part of what makes Sandy so remarkable. She isn't afraid of mistakes. She doesn't shy away from failure. To Sandy, every risk is worth taking if it means learning something new. Her bravery lies not only in her karate skills or her willingness to fight sea monsters twice her size, but in her refusal to let fear hold back her ideas. She understands what so few others do, that progress often comes hand in hand with uncertainty. And, when Bikini Bottom needs her most, Sandy's intellect has often been the difference between safety and disaster. Time and again, when chaos strikes, it is Sandy who steps forward with the brains and the courage to find a solution. She has stopped Plankton's evil schemes, built machines that protected her friends, and in the most dire moments, thrown herself into danger without hesitation. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, she donned her gear and joined SpongeBob and Patrick on their perilous journey, showing that her brilliance was matched only by her loyalty. To her, science was never just about invention, it was about helping others. Yet, for all her genius, Sandy often stands apart. Her neighbours rarely understand her machines, her methods, or even her words when she speaks in technical terms. SpongeBob admires her, but he is usually too caught up in excitement to grasp the depth of her achievements. Patrick, of course, struggles to understand anything beyond the simplest ideas. Even Mr. Krabs, who might see dollar signs in her inventions, often overlooks her brilliance. Sandy is, in many ways, an outsider, not just because she is a land creature living under the sea, but because her mind works on a level no one else around her can match. And yet, Sandy never lets that discourage her. She didn't come to Bikini Bottom for fame or recognition. She came for adventure, for discovery, for the thrill of pushing herself beyond the limits of what anyone thought was possible. Her inventions aren't trophies for others to admire. They are the natural expression of who she is. She is a builder, a thinker, a creator. Her genius is not something she puts on display. It is something she lives every day. Sandy Cheek's story is one of boundless imagination and courage. In a world where others are content with routine, she dreams bigger, reaching for the skies and beyond. Her tree dome, her rocket, her gadgets and experiments, each one is a piece of her legacy, a reminder that even in the deepest part of the ocean, there is room for innovation. And though her inventions sometimes bring chaos, her heart always guides her back to what matters, protecting her friends, pushing herself, and proving that anything is possible with enough grit and determination. In the end, Sandy is more than a karate champion, more than a squirrel from Texas, more than an inventor of strange machines. She is Bikini Bottom's scientific genius, Wetho, the one who looks at the impossible and sees only the next challenge. Without her, the ocean would lose its dreamer, its innovator, its fearless builder of tomorrow. With her, Bikini Bottom has someone who reminds everyone that even in the silliest, strangest corner of the sea, brilliance can shine just as brightly as the Texas sun she carries in her heart. There are times in Sandy's life when the quiet routines of Bikini Bottom are left behind, when her role as an inventor, a fighter, and a friend is tested on a stage far bigger than karate practice or a scientific experiment in her tree dome. These are the moments where she steps into legend, the great adventures that stretch far beyond the borders of her underwater home. The first of these came in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. King Neptune's crown had been stolen, and all of Bikini Bottom was at risk of falling under his wrath. While SpongeBob and Patrick were the ones chosen to march into danger, Sandy's place in that story was crucial. She wasn't just another bystander, she stood by her friends, as the stakes grew larger than anything they had faced before. Her knowledge, her courage, and her unshakable Texan determination reminded the others that they weren't alone in the fight. Sandy wasn't afraid of Neptune's fury, nor of the treacherous road ahead. She knew that when Bikini Bottom was in danger, she would give everything she had to keep it safe. Years later, her bravery was tested again in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. This time, the crisis was even stranger. The secret Krabby Patty formula had vanished, throwing the entire ocean into chaos. As order collapsed, Sandy turned to what she knew best: survival. With her tree dome turned upside down and panic spreading across the sea, she became a voice of reason, a leader who helped hold the community together while SpongeBob and Plankton chased the truth of the missing formula. And when the adventure took them onto dry land, Sandy was right there, adapting in a way that only she could, proving once again that she was not just a visitor from the surface world, but a bridge between two worlds. Her heroism continued in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, where she joined SpongeBob and Patrick in their quest to rescue Gary. In this tale, Sandy's role was as much emotional as it was physical. She had always admired SpongeBob's optimism, but in this journey she helped reinforce it, encouraging him even when hope seemed lost. Her resourcefulness and practicality balanced SpongeBob's boundless imagination, making their team stronger as they crossed strange new lands. The adventure wasn't just about finding Gary, it was about reminding each other why friendship mattered, and Sandy proved she was every bit as vital to the quest as SpongeBob himself. But Sandy's adventures beyond Bikini Bottom haven't been limited to the big screen. Throughout the series, she has thrown herself into dangers and quests that none of the other citizens could have faced. She has battled giant sea monsters that dwarfed even the Krusty Krab in size. She has survived bizarre alternate dimensions opened by her experiments, and once even built a time machine that hurled her and her friends into the past and future. While others panicked, Sandy adapted. Her bravery wasn't just about strength, it was about her ability to keep calm when the world seemed to be falling apart. What makes Sandy's larger adventures so remarkable is how naturally she shifts into the role of a leader. In Bikini Bottom, she can sometimes feel like the odd one out, the squirrel from Texas who doesn't quite fit in. But when the stage grows larger, when the dangers grow stranger, suddenly she becomes indispensable. Her land-born knowledge gives her an edge in crises the others can't comprehend, and her fierce courage allows her to face threats head-on. In many ways, Sandy was made for adventure. While SpongeBob embodies innocence and Patrick brings laughter, Sandy brings strategy, resilience, and the kind of boldness that makes survival possible. There is also a deeper beauty to her role in these adventures. They show how Sandy is not bound by the sea. While most of her friends are creatures of habit, tied to Bikini Bottom and its routines, Sandy is unafraid to go further, to step into the unknown. Whether it is outer space in her rocket, the surface world in Sponge Out of Water, or the strange landscapes of Sponge on the Run, she reminds us that the world is always larger than we think. To Sandy, every challenge is another frontier, every obstacle another test, every new horizon another piece of life waiting to be explored. These adventures beyond Bikini Bottom reveal the full scope of who Sandy is. She is not just a friend or a scientist. She is a pioneer, a hero, a guardian of her community. When Bikini Bottom is threatened, she does not hesitate. And when the journey carries her far from home, she carries with her the same determination, loyalty, and ingenuity that made her extraordinary from the start. For all of Sandy Cheek's daring spirit, her karate chops, and her scientific breakthroughs, there has always been another side to her story, one far quieter, but no less powerful. Beneath the helmet and the armor of confidence, Sandy is also a creature of deep feeling. Her heart, like her mind, defines her. And in those moments when she lets her emotions rise to the surface, we see just how human she truly is. The most famous example comes in the episode Texas. From the very beginning of her life under the sea, Sandy's identity has been split between two worlds: the dry, sunlit plains of her home state and the deep, dark waters of Bikini Bottom. While she built a home in her tree dome and grew close to SpongeBob, Patrick, and the others, there was always a piece of her heart that longed for the warmth of Texas skies. In Texas, this longing reaches a breaking point. Sandy feels the ache of homesickness so deeply that she prepares to leave Bikini Bottom for good. It is in this episode that her emotions are laid bare. We see her sadness, her vulnerability, her tears as she sings about the home she misses. For once, the brave squirrel who can wrestle sea monsters and invent rockets is simply a soul longing for comfort and familiarity. And yet, what makes this moment so moving is not just Sandy's homesickness, but how her friends respond to it. SpongeBob and Patrick, desperate to keep her from leaving, throw her a farewell party that turns into a plea for her to stay. And, in the end, Sandy realizes that while she may always miss Texas, her heart has grown roots in Bikini Bottom. Her friends, her memories, and her bonds matter just as much as the place she came from. That decision, to stay despite the ache of homesickness, speaks volumes about Sandy's emotional strength. Many would crumble under such loneliness, but Sandy takes that ache and transforms it into loyalty, choosing to live with one foot in each world, always Texan at heart, but devoted to the life she has built in the ocean. It is this balance, this emotional resilience, that makes her story so compelling. Her softer side appears in other ways too. Sandy is quick to protect, but she is just as quick to comfort. When SpongeBob is scared, she encourages him. When Patrick feels left out, she includes him. Her natural kindness shines in the little things, the way she welcomes her friends into the tree dome, the way she shares her culture and her stories of Texas, the way she treats even the strangest of Bikini Bottom's creatures with fairness and respect. Though she is fiercely competitive in karate, her heart is gentle when it matters most. There are moments where Sandy's emotions turn into fiery determination, and these are just as powerful as her gentleness. Her pride in her Texas roots is unshakable. If anyone mocks her heritage, Sandy is quick to defend it, not out of anger alone, but out of deep love. Her loyalty to her identity is part of her emotional strength. She knows exactly who she is, and she refuses to let anyone diminish that. Sandy's kindness also shows in the way she forgives. SpongeBob and Patrick often ruin her experiments, destroy her inventions, or turn her plans upside down. Yet Sandy rarely stays angry for long. She may shout, she may chase them around the tree dome, but deep down, she always forgives. She knows their mistakes come from curiosity and innocence, and her heart is too big to hold grudges. Her emotions are not weaknesses, they are what make her complete. Sandy's homesickness reminds us that even the strongest heroes carry longing inside them. Her kindness shows us that intelligence means little without compassion. Her pride in her roots teaches us to embrace who we are without shame. And her ability to balance two worlds, land and sea, Texas and Bikini Bottom, proves that true strength comes not from denying our emotions, but from honoring them. In Sandy's quietest moments, when she sits under her oak tree in the tree dome and gazes up at the stars, one can imagine her thinking of Texas. Perhaps she imagines the wide open fields, the warm sun on her fur, the sound of cicadas in the grass. Perhaps she feels the ache of being far away, but then she hears a knock at her dome, SpongeBob arriving for a visit, Patrick following clumsily behind, and she smiles. Her heart may miss Texas, but it has found something just as powerful beneath the sea: friendship, love, and belonging. This duality, the pull between longing and loyalty, is what makes Sandy one of the most emotional characters in SpongeBob's world. She is not afraid to feel, not afraid to cry, not afraid to admit that she misses home. But she is also not afraid to stay, to love, to build a life even in a place where she is different from everyone else. That balance of strength and softness, pride and humility, is what defines her emotional legacy. And perhaps that is why Sandy resonates so deeply with fans. She is a hero, yes, but also a reminder that even heroes have hearts that ache. Her story teaches us that it is okay to miss what we've left behind, and it is also okay to grow new roots somewhere else. Her emotions are not obstacles to her greatness, they are the very reason she is great. As we reach the end of Sandy Cheeks' story, it becomes clear that she is far more than just the squirrel who built a dome in the ocean or the inventor who blasted into space. She is far more than the karate master who sparred with SpongeBob, or the proud Texan who sang of home. Sandy is a spirit, a symbol of courage, brilliance, and heart, and her legacy is woven into every corner of Bikini Bottom. From the very beginning, Sandy brought something new into SpongeBob's world. She was an outsider, a land creature in a town of fish, but she never let that stop her. She embraced the challenge, bringing her culture, her strength, and her determination with her. Where others might have shrunk from the differences, Sandy stood tall, proving that it is possible to remain true to yourself while also building bonds in a new place. Her presence reminds us that no matter where we come from, we can find belonging without losing who we are. Her courage has always been at the center of her spirit. Time and again, Sandy has faced dangers that no one else dared to approach. She has wrestled with sea monsters, braved the deepest trenches, and stood strong when chaos swept through Bikini Bottom. But what makes her courage remarkable is not just the battles she won, but the heart behind them. Sandy never fought for herself alone. She fought for her friends, for her community, for the people she loved. Her bravery was not a performance. It was a gift she gave to others. Her intellect is another part of her legacy. In a town where most are content to work, relax, or play, Sandy dreamed bigger. She imagined rockets, machines, and possibilities that stretched far beyond what anyone else believed was possible. Her inventions may have caused trouble at times, but they also revealed a mind that refused to accept limits. Sandy showed that intelligence is not just about facts and formulas, it is about imagination, creativity, and the courage to try. She taught Bikini Bottom, and all of us watching, that knowledge can be a form of adventure too. And then there is her kindness. Beneath her armor of toughness and pride, Sandy has always carried a generous heart. She welcomed SpongeBob into her life when he was curious about her tree dome. She shared her culture, her stories, and even her Texas cooking with friends who barely understood her world. She forgave mistakes, encouraged others when they felt small, and reminded everyone around her that even the strongest heroes can also be gentle. Sandy's kindness has been the glue that held her friendships together, turning adventures into memories and companions into family. Her emotional strength may be the quietest part of her spirit, but it is no less powerful. Sandy showed vulnerability when she admitted her homesickness, when she sang of Texas, when she revealed that even the strongest hearts can ache. But instead of letting that longing break her, she carried it with her, blending her past and her present into something stronger. She taught us that it is possible to miss home and still make a new one, to hold love for two places at once, and to never be ashamed of the feelings that make us human. In the grand tapestry of SpongeBob SquarePants, Sandy Cheeks represents the balance of brains and bravery, toughness and tenderness, curiosity and loyalty. She reminds us that we are not defined by where we come from, but by how we carry ourselves in the places we go. She reminds us that it is okay to be different, to stand out, to walk into a room and not blend in, because difference can be a gift, a spark that lights up the lives of others. Sandy's spirit is also a call to adventure, whether it is building rockets, exploring other worlds, or simply sparring in karate. She lives with a fire that refuses to dim. She embraces life with open arms, chasing challenges not because they are easy, but because they are worth the effort. In every leap, every invention, every fight, she whispers the same message: stay curious, stay bold, and never stop trying. When we think of Sandy Cheeks, we remember the laughter she shared with SpongeBob, the chaos of her experiments, the tenderness of her songs, and the determination of her battles. But more than any single moment, we remember her spirit, a spirit of courage, of genius, of loyalty, and of love. She is proof that you can be far from home and still find family. She is proof that strength and kindness are not opposites but partners. And she is proof that even in the strangest of worlds, there is always room for someone who dares to be themselves. So, in the end, Sandy Cheeks is not just a character in Bikini Bottom. She is its heart, its spark, its guiding flame. She is the reminder that we should all carry a little bit of Texas pride, a little bit of scientific curiosity, a little bit of loyalty, and a whole lot of courage in our own lives. Her story is not just about the ocean or the land, be sir. It is about the universal spirit of adventure, the willingness to take risks, and the promise that true friends and true love will always make any place feel like home. That is the spirit of Sandy Cheeks, a squirrel in a diving suit, living in the ocean, but shining far beyond it.